It's 1200 hours GMT in Accra. Good afternoon and welcome to Midday Live on TV3 with me, Solis Rose Corte. Now let's find out what to expect by way of headlines for the next 60 minutes. All right, so in the headlines this afternoon, the ruling New Patriotic Party starts elections to elect regional executives for various positions. We'll be bringing you details as well as some of the postponements that we have been informed about. Also this afternoon, the Vice President has directed the Ghana Police Service to strategize to deal with the increase in motor accidents. And to somewhat good news on the international front this afternoon, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says he has suspended all missile tests and will shut down a nuclear test site. So all these details and more, including business, sports, as well as entertainment, coming up in the next 1 hour. Now, don't forget that we are live also on DSTV channel 279. You can also get interactive with us at on our Facebook page, our Instagram page, as well as our Twitter pages. You can also visit our website www.3news.com for more news updates. Let's start off the bulletin with this story where the Vice President has directed the Ghana Police Service to strategize and ruthlessly deal with the increasing spate of motor accidents. Dr. Mahmoud Baumia said government will procure additional equipment for the police to help them fight the road carnage. He was speaking at the 2017 WASA at the headquarters of the Ghana Police Service in Accra.
During this period, the Ghana Police Service takes stock of its activities and operations over the year. The occasion is also used to recognize the measurable role of the police service in the year under review. Vice President Dr. Mahamadou Baumia, who doubles as the chairman of the Police Council, praised the police service for reducing crime. He recalled how armed robbery cases in 2017 affected the forward movement of the country, destabilizing some communities. To forestall such occurrences, Dr. Mahamadou Baumia assured that the service would procure additional equipment. He again charged them to adopt strategies to deal with motor accidents.
We are rapidly losing our brothers and sisters, the country's workforce, to preventable road accidents, and I call on you to marshal all the strategies to help curtail this scourge. I will also urge you to continue to pursue the cause of professionalism in all your operations, especially public order operations, to ensure infraction-free operations.
The Inspector General of Police, David Asante Pietu, pledged strong commitment to uphold professionalism in the service, but he expressed concern about the recent sexual allegations leveled against the police service during their peacekeeping operations in Sudan.
Remains an allegation as we await full investigative report from the United Nations. We have begun to put measures in place to keep our clean, professional reputation.
Minister for the Interior, Ambrose Derry, called for increased collaboration between the Ghana Police Service and the media.
It is in respect of the injured journalists, and I express regret for this happening, but I made it clear that the incident was a product of a misunderstanding of the operations of the police service. That when in operation, the media should know who to talk to. They should talk to the PR division and not to the operations officer at the front.
Earlier, the Vice President inspected a photo gallery mounted in his honor.
Well, Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Baumia has renewed government's resolve to embark on prudent economic policies to achieve a Ghana beyond aid. Now, he made the observation during a courtesy call paid on him by the former president of Cape Verde, Pedro Verona Rodriguez Perez, at the Jubilee House in Accra.
Vice President Dr. Mahamadou Baumia welcomed the former president of Cape Verde at the Jubilee House in Accra. Discussions centered on promoting good governance in Ghana and the African continent. They also deliberated on the need for strong political leadership on the continent to foster investor confidence. The former president of Cape Verde, Rodriguez Perez, praised government for its strong economic policies. He was extremely elated about the immeasurable contributions of previous leaders to set the country on her pedestal. Vice President Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia spoke about the need for strong economic policies targeted to help achieve Ghana beyond aid.
In the vision of the president that says, let's build a Ghana beyond aid, and for that matter, an Africa beyond aid. And this is the type of work that we want to do in this period. And so we want to see our economies grow.
He again emphasized on other measures to achieve economic independence.
As you acknowledge, Ghana registered 8.5% GDP growth last year, which made it the fastest growing economy in the world last year. And we want to continue that type of effort to be able to attain the type of economic freedom.
The former president of Cape Verde is in Ghana to deliver a lecture at the University of Development Studies in Tamale on good governance.
Well, the ruling New Patriotic Party has started some elections to elect the regional executives for their various positions. So let's find out more details about this. Let's start off from the Western region, where our correspondent Henry Eric Ajay is standing by to give us some updates.
Hello? Hello? Yes, I can hear you. Okay. Thank you very much. I am currently
all right.
At
we have our Western regional correspondent who's currently on the grounds as the New Patriotic Party embarks on an election to elect regional executives for various positions. Henry?
The program is in two parts. The first part is where the executives that are about to hand over to new executives that will be elected in a couple of hours. What they are going to do is that they are going to account to the Congress their stewardship for the past 4 years. Then the second part is where the Congress will elect new regional executives to steer the affairs of the New Patriotic Party here in the Western region for the next 4 years. Now, I have with me a member of the election committee for the region, Dr. Sego. Doc, you are welcome.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
How many positions are up for grabs and how many people are buying?
Well, we have 10 positions and there are about 43 contestants for the positions.
And how many people are expected to vote?
The delegates are in the region of about 515 delegates are voting.
Can you give me a breakdown of the number of people who are voting?
Yeah, this number is made up basically of 442 constituency executives. That is, the executives who have been elected, at the various constituencies prior to this meeting. They are going to vote. Then we have 16 members of parliament who are also voting. We have 10 members of the patrons, 10 members of the elders of the party. We have 2 of the executive council members of the party. There is a founding member who is also supposed to vote. And of course, these from the electoral college, more or less.
Have you received any proxy votes?
Yes, there are up to this moment, we have 2 proxy votes, which the committee has agreed to grant.
Okay. As a committee, what measures have you put in place to ensure that this election becomes a success?
Well, first of all, we have beefed up the security. We have really developed a very good security system to make sure that there's nothing untoward at this point. And we have got a very comfortable auditorium for delegates, and every other thing is well provided for in this election.
Okay, so there are adequate measures put in place to ensure that there are no, there is nothing that is going to hinder the smoothness of this election.
Well, it is true that there had been a few hitches here and there from delegates. There have been a few complaints prior to this moment. But luckily for us, we have been able to resolve basically all outstanding issues.
We were told that there is a petition from Elembele and Tescon. Have you been able to resolve that?
Yes, there was a petition from Elembele. That is true. But luckily for us, we have been able to resolve that petition this morning. So all feuding parties are calm, and we believe they will vote.
Is there any special arrangements in place to ensure that after the winners are announced, this place is going to be calm?
Oh yes, we have already spoken to our delegates and the candidates that this is a family business, this is a family election, so whoever wins is a winner for the MPP, and there should not be any acrimonies. We have spoken to them. Of course, the winner naturally will celebrate, but the celebration should be in moderation so that there's no antagonism.
Okay, thank you very much, Doc. So Dr. Sego is a member of the election committee here in the Western region. Now, what we are gathering is that there are three positions that a lot of the delegates are talking about. We have the chairmanship position, we have the organizer position, and we have the secretary position. Now, the buzz is around these three positions that, like I said in the first place. Now, the second vice chairman, who rose to become the acting vice chairman, is seeking re-election. The current chairman, Dixon Nkatia, is not seeking re-election. Then we have the secretary, the incumbent secretary, Charles Bisu, who is also seeking re-election. Now he's being pursued by two former regional communication directors. That is Oketechi Efriye Amankwa, then Emmanuel Akwa. Then the other position that a lot of the delegates are talking about.
All right, so we've just got live feed from the Western region where the New Patriotic Party is organizing elections to elect executives for the original offices. Now, we'll also be moving back to the Greater Accra region where our correspondent Catherine Frimpoma is currently at the Trade Fair Center to also bring us what exactly is happening in Accra. And it's happening all over the country in some particular places. So we will be following up on all these areas during the bulletin. But let's move away from that and do some other stories. And there's been a huge backlash, that's public backlash against government after it emerged that 998 staffers are drawing their salaries from the presidency. Now, President Akufo-Addo submitted the list to Parliament in line with Section 11 of the Presidential Office Act 1993. Now, legal practitioners Victor Adaudu and Bobby Banson accused the Akufo-Addo-led administration of needlessly burdening the public purse. But member of the MPP legal team, Gary Nimako, however, rejected the criticisms. They spoke on New Day on TV3.
Looking at, because they said that they have a huge vision, ambition, and it is a huge target, so they need huge numbers. But you see, the contradictory thing is that, yes, you need a senior ministers of state at the presidency. Why do we have technical advisors to the ministries drawing their salary from the office of president or government machinery? When you are a technical advisor with the ministry, why are you not drawing salary from the ministry's payroll? When you are a special advisor or special assistant to a minister, junior and political appointees, why are they all drawing salaries from the office of government machinery, right? You see all these people have been brought on, and there's some hang-ons have been brought to the office of the president, and the number is huge. If it is huge, the salaries, the remuneration, that is where the Article 71 people who have to be paid also increase.
As of June 2017, the total list of appointees by Donald Trump to the Flagstaff, to the White House was 377. White House, 377. That list contains the role of each of them and their salaries. Do we have that here? No. That is why a lot of people think it's complete waste. Because if we are told, honestly, as I sit here, if the list presented to Parliament stated that Kofi is in charge of A, B, C, D, Ama is in charge of A, B, C, D, these are the qualifications of Kofi, these are the qualifications of Ama, there will not be a basis for anybody to just say what they want.
Most of them were left there by His Excellency President, former President Mahama. And they are still working for the state. You can't just sack them. You shouldn't make it appear as if these are all fresh appointments that have been churned out, to the public. That's the way I want to correct it.
Very well. I mean, if indeed that's the case, then that's useful information there. That it's not, they are all not fresh numbers, but it still doesn't take away the fact that 998 is not a small number. It is a huge number. Well,
a huge number, small number, I think is relative. But basically, if somebody looks at the number, you can say, well, 998 is a huge number. Somebody can say, look at the number and say 998, depending on the quantum of work to be done. Relatively, maybe it's also good or sizable.
Meanwhile, some members of the public have been sharing their views about this particular development.
Those 900 and something, if they can work better for us to be okay, I have no problem with it. But sometimes you can have a smaller number, and the money they will chop will be more than 3 times what this president has.
Each member of the staff, what he does specifically, what role does he play, what does he bring on board to help governance for that matter. I mean, so that we'll be able to determine what to do with the number, either to reduce it or to even increase it further. So it is important that the public should know what each and every member of the staff does.
Nti anka bibini anka nipa kakra bia na ya manage ba omo ye bebreza eza na emma bone nketenkete ye den ekoso wo man no if so bi sha office no odi bone a we ntumi hu ni ntem because omo adonso e na hwe nipa dodo we obetu omo nyina aka wie no na wonkasa kwa ye den wa brem nti to me no omo doso so omo ti so kakra.
So if Mahama was using less people at the Jubilee House, then I now prefer to add more people at the Jubilee House. I think it's okay for him. If it's okay for him, I'm okay. Because if it doesn't go well, we'll blame him.
No, that number cannot help the president. If you have 3 people be with you, they give you idea, common sense, you can even do something more than people you employ in there. You are wasting money paying those people, and the youth are outside there suffering. Is that the way do you multiply people paying them, chopping money? Is that the way we do in Ghana? No, president is not doing anything good.
Well, the question now would be, what do you think about the 998 presidential staffers? Don't forget, you can always get interactive with us and share your views on our social media platforms, Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram. We'll be having more on the MPP's elections for their regional executives after this break. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Midday Live. Let's do some more stories and let's get back to some politics, where in the Greater Accra region, the MPP executive election is currently ongoing at the Trade Fair Centre at La. The elections will choose new executives who would serve the party for the next 4 years. My colleague Catherine from Poma is standing by with some more details live from the ground.
Is underway. Currently happening is solidarity messages from various political parties in the country. We just heard from the NDC regional representation who came to support their colleagues. We have other members of the various political parties also represented here. But the real election for the regional executive is yet to begin. We have about 55 candidates vying for for 10 positions, including the chairman, 2 deputy chairman, secretary, organizer, treasurer, youth organizer, women organizer, and NASRA coordinator. I have with me the chairman of the election committee to tell us really what to expect in the few minutes. Good afternoon, sir.
Good afternoon, and how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So, what are we to expect today? The election is yet to start. What is happening?
We're now mentioning the names and introducing the candidates. We shall soon start. We'll start off by the elders and the patrons. The elders are 10 in number, the patrons are 10 in numbers. And then founding members, they are also 2. I don't know whether these members are all in at the moment. But as soon as we finish with them, then we'll go to the delegates. And we'll go by constituency by constituency. We are the initial number was 34, but 2 constituencies, that is Adentan, they still have some problems to solve, so they are also out. Okankwe South is also out. They have a case pending in court. So
we now have 32 constituencies.
32.
And how many delegates in all?
In fact, we expect to have 17 per constituency. Yes. So we'll be expecting around 560.
So, but when are the 2 constituencies going to have their own elections?
I have no knowledge not until they have solved their problems. Yes, one is in court, the other is still under investigation. So that immediately they finish, we'll hand it over.
So when is voting expected to end?
But initially we had expected to start around 10 o'clock, but look at the time now. It's past 12. So I have no knowledge. Maybe 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock. Maybe. So far as the EC, conducts everything speedily, I'm sure by 5:30 we'll have finished.
But is everything ready? The register, the ballot papers?
Everything is ready. Yeah, everything is set. Everything is set. So it depends very much on the EC. Yeah. Adumante is my name.
And that was Mr. Adumante, the chairman of the electoral committee. And he tells us that everything is set. The voting materials, ballot papers, register, everything is set. And so 32 constituencies are going to vote, apart from 2 constituencies which still have issues to sort out in court. But we are here and we will be updating you of whatever happens here at the Trade Fair Center here in Accra. Thank you very much. My name is Catherine Frimpoma for TV3 News from the Trade Fair Center in Accra. Over to you, Solos, in the studio.
Very much, Catherine Frimpoma. We'll be getting more details as to exactly what happens today and which people emerge victorious. Let's move away from that and head to the Volta region, where the Nkonya Traditional Council has urged its subjects not to jump to conclusions and accuse the people of Alavanyo over the recent disappearance of 37-year-old David Adai. Paramount Queen of the area, Nana Otubia II, insists accusations and counter-accusations have not helped their cause, hence the need to look beyond their borders.
Efforts at ensuring lasting peace between the people of Nkonya and Alavanyo continue to hit the snag following fresh incidents at the blind side of peacemakers. The latest was the disappearance of 37-year-old David Adai, who was reported missing during a hunting expedition on Friday, March 23. The incident came at the heels of a 62-year-old man from Saviepe, George Akoli, who went missing during the 2017 Sasadu Festival hosted by Alavanyo Bama in November. The missing George is yet to be located. Expectedly, the people of Nkonya will be justified in pointing fingers at their centenary-old foe, Alavanyo, over the missing David. But Paramount Queen of the traditional area, Nana Otubia II, believes there might be some faceless persons still keen on frustrating the peace process between the two traditional areas.
We are going to look for the perpetrators of this crime, so that it wouldn't be like when something happens in Alavanyo, they will say it's Nkonya people. When something happens in Nkonya, they will say it's Alavanyo people. I am looking beyond Nkonya and Alavanyo.
She appealed to their counterparts to join them in trekking a new path.
I think that when this thing happened, people were looking out for fresh conflict. I want to use this opportunity to thank the good people of Nkonya for listening. So it is left for my other people to also adopt the same strategy so that there will be peace and tranquility in the two communities.
Paramount Chief of the traditional area, Togiga Gabusu, maintained resourcing the traditional rulers is key in brokering peace for the area.
Hand over this to the Volta Region House of Chiefs, and the chiefs, they must be well resourced to go into the matter, and you will see that it will definitely end somewhere.
Experts have advised that to ensure lasting and enduring peace between Nkonya and Alavanyo, the state must act now and swiftly.
I think it's about time we stop this Nkonya and Alavanyo. Well, Alavanyo people said they are not the people. We won't blame them. So in future, when something also happens in Alavanyo, they shouldn't be quick in judging that it's Nkonya people.
Now, away from that, it's a multi-billion-dollar industry, and we are being asked as Ghanaians to tap into it as the Rastafari Council of Ghana is calling on President Akufo-Addo and Parliament to take appropriate steps to decriminalize marijuana in Ghana. The council argues decriminalizing marijuana will enable government to raise enough funds to support projects like the One District, One Factory and the Free Senior High School policy.
The debate on whether or not to decriminalize marijuana in Ghana seems like one that is not ending anytime soon. In 2016, the Rastafari Council presented a petition to the Parliamentary Select Committee on Defence and Interior, highlighting the benefits of the criminalization and also a request for permission to grow, transport, use, sell and export marijuana. Rastafari Council, which has been pursuing this agenda for government to decriminalize marijuana, says it is yet to get any feedback. As the world marks International Day of Marijuana, the council is appealing to President Akufo-Addo to reconsider the narcotic laws of Ghana.
Look at what is happening internationally and then take the right steps. The economic benefits are immeasurable. The statement cited what is happening in Uruguay, where government is controlling the trade. If you go to Amsterdam, their tourism is flourishing because people leave London and go to Amsterdam just to buy some herb and smoke. This is not a call to rioting. We're not saying small children should smoke weed. Nope. Alcohol is not sold to people under 18. So we're expecting the same regularization of marijuana, even if it's decriminalized.
Former Executive Secretary of the Narcotics Control Board have all in the past called for debate on the topic. In September 2017, Acting Director General of the Ghana Standards Authority, Professor Alex Udiodu, told TV3 he wanted Ghana to consider the production of marijuana for export.
My view is that the debate on the production and export legally of marijuana, should the laws of Ghana be amended to permit it, that debate should be had. Why? Marijuana is a product which, based on which jurisdiction you are, is legal for medicinal use and in some areas for social use. If there is a market out there for a product that we have in Ghana, if that product could be standardized, produced, certified to meet the requirements of the importing country, and if our government wants to take advantage of it, I will support it.
Until then, the debate as to whether to decriminalize marijuana will continue.
Now let's do some issues regarding corruption. And a political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Hassan Wahab, says the fight against corruption can only be won if the instruments designed to fight the canker are enforced. Speaking on the sidelines at a political dialogue here in Accra, he expressed disappointment at the total disregard for laws which promote transparency and accountability.
Corruption has been identified as a key impediment to achieving development globally. Political science lecturer at the University of Ghana, Dr. Hassan Wahab, noted the fight against corruption in Ghana will be greatly advanced if sources of funding to political parties are made public.
We have laws in the Constitution and in various other instruments that bar, non-citizens from making political contributions. So the laws are there. What are we doing to enforce them? We have issues now about assets declaration. There is a law there. How many times do we check the assets of people who have just been elected into office? We don't do that.
Head of the Political Science Department, Dr. Boss Manasari, advocated the breakdown of the laws which currently exist to effectively monitor the fight against corruption. He cited the ongoing investigations of some ministers under the erstwhile Mahama administration as a failure of some of these laws.
This should have been known. We didn't have to wait for them to finish their term of office. And some of them left, I think, 2016 December, and now it has now come to public knowledge that they collected to double salaries, etc. So it's a clear indication that the instruments have not been doing their work very well. That's why we don't have to trust individuals to do the right thing. Let's make sure we have institutions in place, and the institutions must compel.
The dialogue on the theme corruption and governance, impact and way out for women, children and youth was organized by the Gender Center for Empowering Development and the Political Science Department of the University of Ghana.
Now, Executive Secretary of the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition, Beauty Emefa Nnate, has called on Ghanaians not to politicize issues of corruption. Beauty Emefa Nnate also wants the citizenry to see it as a civic responsibility to report all cases of corruption to help discourage the practice. A report by Ajwa Adobia Owusu.
Speaking at the Central Regional Forum on the Special Prosecutor Act, Beauty Emefa Nnate said the fight against corruption can only be successful if citizens are informed and able to play their roles effectively. Beauty Emefa Nnate called on government to sanction corrupt officials to discourage others from indulging in such acts.
Corruption is a crime, regardless of the political color that it happens under. We should not let it find comfort under a political umbrella or a political color. And every political party should openly denounce people who are found to engage in corruption without seeing it as witch hunting.
She told participants the Special Prosecutor Act demonstrates Ghana's commitment. Beauty Emefa Nnate said it was incumbent for government to invest in SHRAJ at the local level to enable citizens have easy access to report complaints.
It is important that SHRAJ at the local level should be well resourced to be able to take some of these cases, initiate the process so that the citizens do not have to travel all the way to Accra to make complaints.
She urged individuals to report cases of corruption as part of their civic responsibility. A participant, Bishop Peter Kojosaki, was pleased with the education and insight.
We've seen that the general public needs to get involved in fighting corruption, and we need to be bold enough and precisely speak the truth without fear.
The forum was organized by the Ghana Anti-Corruption Coalition.
You're still watching Midday Live. We're live also on DSTV channel 279. We'll be right back with more news updates after this. Don't go away. Welcome back to Midday Live. Now let's take a look at some business stories. And in business this afternoon, International Monetary Fund and the Institute of Fiscal Studies have warned Ghana's rising debt stock could plunge the country into economic crisis. Ghana's debt is projected to reach a staggering 150 billion Ghana cedis before the end of 2018. In the following report, Nguyen Falong finds out its implications on the economy.
We need to continue fiscal consolidation. We need to deepen structural reforms. We need to continue reforming the regulatory framework to make it more friendly to the private sector, to fully embrace technological change, as this will be the mean to increase productivity across sectors, but also within some specific sectors.
At the end of 2006, Ghana's debt had dropped to 4.90 billion Ghana cedis or more, following the reliefs received from the Highly Indebted Poor Country, HIPIC, and the Multilateral Debt Relief Initiative. New figures released by the Bank of Ghana after its Monetary Policy Committee meeting shows Ghana's public debt reached 142.5 billion cedis as at December 2017, representing 69.8% of GDP. In September 2017, Ghana's debt stood at 138.9 billion Ghana cedis, representing 68.1%. The figure dropped to 137.6 billion Ghana cedis in October, representing 67.4%. But in November 2017, it went up to 139 billion Ghana cedis, representing 68.1%. This means Ghana's debt stock has almost hit the dreaded 70% of GDP, a point the International Monetary Fund, IMF, the IFS, and several institutions have cautioned against. Other African countries, including Nigeria, Ivory Coast, all have lower debt-to-GDP ratios compared to Ghana. Nigeria has a debt-to-GDP ratio of 21.30%, Libya 16.50%, Ivory Coast 28.20%, and Kenya 57.10%. The United States, the world's largest economy, has a debt-to-GDP ratio of 105.40%. The implications of Ghana's debt stock hitting 70% include widening of the poverty gap and the inability to meet infrastructural needs in the country. Ghana also stands a high risk of returning to debt distress situation by becoming a highly indebted poor country, HIPIC. A senior economist at the University of Ghana, Edu Owusu-Sarkodie, explains what can be done.
We're calling for an auditing of the public debt. We want to see what the funds have been used for, because we cannot borrow over 135 billion cedis in 10 years and then have this high unemployment rate. The long-term measure is to continue to run either balanced budget or budget surplus in a sense where we're able to raise enough domestic revenue.
Now, acts of unlawful interference in aviation has increased from 9 in 2016 to 22 in 2017. Opening a two-day Sub-Saharan Regional Aviation Security Workshop in Accra, Sector Minister Cecilia Abena-Dapaah described the trend as a worrying one, requiring vigilance and development of appropriate reactive security mechanisms in the sector.
The aviation sector, a catalyst for tourism, employment and economic development, continues to enjoy tremendous growth with increase in technology and air travel space. The International Air Transport Association (ITA) estimated the number of international passengers to reach 7.8 billion per year by 2036. Such growth, according to the Aviation Minister Cecilia Abena-Dapaah, continues despite challenges and security threats that must be met with robust security systems.
Some time ago, we even had the level at 3. People were complaining that when you get in, your baggage will have to be searched. Yes, we don't compromise on security, both for pieces of luggage and for human beings like us who travel by air.
The sector minister urged industry players to pool resources in support of security initiatives to deal with emerging threats.
People should be responsible for their actions, and this is one way of making sure we wouldn't let it happen before we put our hands on our head to cry.
The Accra workshop, the first in Africa, will discuss new threats and solutions for both local and international interventions.
Globally, we are all moving into that era where states share security-related information on passengers, so that you're aware of who is coming to your country and who is going out.
40 participants from Sub-Saharan Africa and Europe attended the workshop jointly organized by Ghana and the British Aviation Authorities.
All right, in international news this afternoon, North Korean leader Kim Jong-un says he has suspended all missile tests and will shut down a nuclear test site. Kim said further tests were unnecessary because of Pyongyang's nuclear capabilities had been verified. Now, the surprise announcement comes as North Korea prepares for historic talks with South Korea and the USA. Kim is due to meet his South Korean counterpart Moon Jae-in next week for the first inter-Korean summit in over a decade. And US President Donald Trump, by June, both countries have been pushing Pyongyang to denuclearize, and they reacted positively to the latest development. And on to South Africa, which has launched an ATM-like vending machine to dispense medicines to patients with chronic illnesses such as AIDS, in a move aimed at reducing waiting times and congestion in public healthcare facilities. The Health Ministry and Charity Right to Care said the pharmacy dispensing unit was the first of its kind in Africa and allowed patients with chronic illnesses such as HIV and AIDS to receive repeat medication in a few minutes. The ATM works like a cash vending machine but gives out medicines. Patients can speak to a pharmacist located at a call center by using a telephone receiver.
So here we provide chronic medication, and the majority of our chronic patients are HIV positive, so they take ARVs. That's close to 90% of the medication that we stock here.
Currently, 3,000 to 4,000 patients are seen a month in this facility, with this number expected to quadruple within the next couple of years.
So for me, it's a game changer because one of our biggest challenges today in most countries in Africa is the fact that our facilities are congested. We need to find ways in which we can release the congestion, both in the interest of the patients themselves, but also in the interest of the health systems themselves, so that we lessen the burden. In other words, patients who don't need to go in queue don't have to go in queue.
Quite some encouraging news there. Now let's do some entertainment news. Now, it has been exciting 29 years with over 11 albums and several local and international awards, world tours, chart-topping songs, and decades of consistent gospel music. Now, the following report explains more about the journey so far for the legendary Ghanaian gospel trio, Daughters of Glorious Jesus.
Started as part of the Resurrection Power and Living Bread Ministries choir in 1987, celebrated gospel music group Daughters of Glorious Jesus have treated Ghanaians to a number of great gospel songs.
The whole thing started in Kumasi, where we were born, and we used to go to Sunday school. And then one brother took us to Resurrection Power and Living Bread Ministries, Santasi, and that is where the three of us met.
The group comprises of two sisters and a friend, Cynthia Ampiedu, Edna Sapong, and Monica Usuansa. The legendary gospel music trio, Daughters of Glorious Jesus, released their debut album, Awawado, in 1990 and have since been one of the strongest forces to reckon with in the gospel industry.
The first album came in 1990, but the group was formed in 89. Yes, and by the grace of God, God willing, next year we will be celebrating our 30 years as Daughters of Glorious Jesus.
Some Some of their hits include Meba Wudinda, Edino, Asumdwehene, Tumi Womu, Fata Ayeye, Erade, Yesu, We Ye Madinyina, Asida Ben, Ye Yuwaye, Okasa Preko, Fawasem to Erade Enim, Onokwafu Nyame, Bebre, Ehintabia and Wontaban. The group is forever grateful to Bishop Akwesi Asare Bediakun, who saw their potential and encouraged them to form a group. They have since resolved to serve God for the rest of their lives, to win souls for Christ.
And we thank God that by the grace of God, with these giftings, the Lord has blessed us so much. And we've been to so many places because of this gift. And we give glory to God. The strength of God has been with us. Without God, we cannot do anything because we are empty vessels. The grace of God is sufficient with Daughters of Glorious Jesus.
Abba Father, Abba Father, Abba Father, Abba Father, oh, 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 Abba Father, you are my Lord.
Thank you. God bless you.
Well, indeed, vocals to die for. Daughters of Glorious Jesus having given us almost 30 years of uplifting gospel music. And that's how we wrap up Midday Live here on TV3 with me, Solace Rose Quarter. We've been live on DSTV channel 279 and also interactive on our social media pages, Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram. Have a great afternoon.